Welcome back, Fire Tribe.
And you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
Even Dave clapped it up for that. Oh, man.
Congrats.
That's respect, Dave. That's
Congrats,
respect.
Liverpool fans.
Yes.
You guys deserve this one.
Monday, April 28th, Phil came in with the lead. Liverpool has officially won the EPL. We are recording this, though, with one more game left in the week. That is Brentford versus Nottingham Forest on Thursday. It's kind of a weird day to have that last game, but you know, I'm sure
Pisses
they have
me
their
off.
I don't
scheduling
want to wait. I want it now.
reasons. We have Mbumo on our team for the last game week, so we're still waiting to get our final score, but we'll let Dave talk about that in a second. Today, recap, game week 34. Pretty straightforward, all things considered. Most of the favorites won or drew. There really wasn't any upsets here, but like Phil said, congrats to Liverpool. The EPL is not over, but the title race is officially over. And fun fact for everyone, I'm sure Dave knows this, they are now tied most EPL titles at 20 with Man United. The difference is one of those teams' trajectory is like this, and one of them's like that. And I'll let you figure out which one. I'm not gonna say which one.
And if I'm not wrong, just to pile on, I'm pretty sure Liverpool has more European titles than United.
That feels right.
So
You're gonna need a different third person for this
let's
podcast.
summarize
Keep
this.
Right.
Is United no longer the number one team in England?
Ooh. Dave,
they're in
any
like
opinions?
14th.
No, historically.
Historically, Dave. Historically.
I think if you're only counting England and not European competitions, I think it's a tie.
All right.
We'll let
Numbers
you have
don't
that.
lie.
Yeah,
We'll let you
whatever
have
makes
that.
you feel better.
We'll let you have that. So,
Listen, you gotta give me something.
We'll give you that one.
game week 33, we had 4 blanks: City, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Villa. So no one played from those teams. But let's just get right into the recap. Dave, can you give the people what our current team looks like again without Mbumo having played yet?
I can. So this week we did use our free hit chip. So our team's totally different as we went over. We had a good week. We ended up,
Great
far we are ranked about 40,000th in this game week, which is good. 96 points. And as Sean mentioned, we still have Mbumo on Thursday. But we did double up on the Newcastle goalie and defender with Pope and Shar. They got the shutout. Wolves had a big game. I eat Nori with 11. Our cheap recommendation, Ryan Sessegnon. He scored 11 points. Salah, Diaz, good returns for Liverpool, 8 and 7. My boy Jared Bowen with 2 dimes, 9 points. Alexander Isak a little disappointing with 6. Matheus Cunha went off, and we captained him, so he ended up with 30 points after his goal and 2 assists.
So good.
And then the only sort of blunder, I won't call it a blunder we made, but
It was
Evanilson
my pick.
Was having a good game, had an assist, and then decided to try and break someone's leg. So we got a straight red card. So
he was on his way to bonus points. I was gonna look good on that pick. Turns out it wasn't, but you know, for the rest of the team,
it was going well.
You can control a bonehead play by players.
Yeah,
very good week for us. I was talking before with the guys that we're very glad we made the tough decision to bench Trent, even though he had a decent game. But that paid off for us. So 96 points for the Fireside Chill guys. Yeah. Really good week so far. Hopefully it gets a little bit better.
Can we break 100?
Yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs, right? It's an amazing week, so we don't want to be too harsh on ourselves. The Evanilson pick hurts. And the other goalie that we had recommended to people was Jose Sa.
True.
50-50 decision. Pope, Sa, they both had a chance at a shutout. We went Pope. Sa had a better game. But again, not going to be too picky because, Pope had a good game as well. So it is what it is. We'll see how Mbumo does. I think a lot of people do have him, so we'll see how much that can really move us in the overall ranking. But yeah, it'll be interesting. First game we want to talk about on this recap. Liverpool and Tottenham. Why not, right? That's the big one.
If we must.
If we must. So, yeah, we already touched on it. Salah finally got a goal, right? Finally, I say that because we assume he's going to get one every week. League race over. Going forward, that's the question I want to ask you both. I don't want to dive too deep into the players themselves, but we need to discuss what are they going to do in these last 4 games. Title race over, locked it up. No European competitions, no English competitions. Are they going to bring young players in? Are they going to rest their, prime players, Trent, Salah, right? What do we think? Is there anyone, are we going to trust it going forward with these guys? Do you think they're going to just keep pushing?
I don't know. It could go either way. Like you said, you've experienced this with Real Madrid, and they've you've said you kind of saw both, right?
I think it's a 50-50. I think on one hand, you can say, let's give the fans something to still come to the games for, celebrate, watch their best players. On the flip side, someone like Trent, who might be leaving the club, are you really going to start him?
Had some injuries all year.
Has some injuries if you want to keep him healthy if he's staying, and you play a young player that potentially could get into the squad next year. So I've seen Madrid when they've already won a league or lost a league, do both. Keep playing their starters to kind of appease the fans, or kind of switch up the formation and introduce some players that might not have gotten as many minutes throughout the year. So I really don't know what's going to happen, and that kind of makes it scary for FPL purposes.
I know I don't have any other information, but my gut tells me to trust there's 3 studs on the team to me that I think Van Dijk and Salah are still going to start and play most of the minutes. I would still trust Luis Diaz, but like you alluded to with Trent, since he's leaving, I don't know. I could see him being one of the pieces they rotate a little bit more. I could see them playing, giving a young guy a start in some of the last 4 games, probably like Phil said, bringing on some guys that haven't played as much.
Does Harvey Elliott get more minutes?
Guys like him, yeah.
I could see a guy like Diego Jota potentially getting a little boost here, right? He's obviously a good player. Maybe they do pull Luis Diaz or Salah off the field. Prime opportunity to kind of slot him in there. So to your point, Dave, there might be, look at it on the flip side, maybe you are going to lose out on these big-time players, but now you might have an opportunity, a differential guy who might end the season. I'm not saying
it would be it would be a bold call.
I'm not saying I would do it, but
to me,
differentials are going to become bigger and bigger.
I think Salah is probably a lock because signing the new contract for Liverpool.
Big contract.
Same with Van Dijk.
But I'm thinking Salah, he's obviously going for the top score of the EPL history, so this might be a prime time to set himself up for next year to potentially, it'd be hard to beat the record next year, but get closer and closer to it. So he would probably be the only one that has a reason to keep playing, and then Van Dijk, captain of the team.
He's not going to get the goal record that Haaland set, but he is still in play with 4 games left to break that De Bruyne assist record. I think it was 21. He has 18, so chances are low, but there's still a chance that he could get that. It's the opportunities there. So, maybe that pushes him on, but I think it's something that we're all going to have to continue to follow as the season comes to an end, because you don't want to be holding the bag when you play Salah or someone else and then they get 0 minutes.
I think the other thing, I think it matters that they play Chelsea and Arsenal the next 2 games.
That's true.
Because those are big teams and fairly large rivalries, so I don't think they're going to not roll over and start, a random assortment of guys. I think having 2 big games against good teams the next 2 games will keep the big players in the lineup.
I would agree with that. Next game we want to talk about, Wolves and Leicester. Not a super exciting game if you're a Leicester fan, as most of them are not at the moment. But it's another game that we banked on for a shutout, which I'm sure a lot of people did, right? I think Leicester is now not scored in 9 of 10. Is that correct? 9 of 10? Is it 8 of 9?
I think so.
Did they score last week?
They scored in 1 game in this long stretch
against Brighton when they didn't have
they had no defenders. So the point being is they can't score goals. We took Aït-Nouri for that reason. We mentioned we captained Cunha. It's great for us. Both forwards actually scored again. So Strand Larson, again, we've said it. He's not as good as Cunha, but he is very viable as a secondary option. He seems to find a way to score every week, every other week. It's pretty impressive.
6 in his last 6.
That's what I'm saying. It's very impressive. Like they have, again, they're gonna probably get rid of Cunha. He's just worth so much now. They'll be able to they'll probably go to Man U potentially. I think Strand Larson is a nice guy he's not as good, but he's a nice guy to have to put in place next season. I think he's proven that now.
I agree with that. They've got some other, like, not a lot of guys on the radar for FPL purposes, but they've got some nice young pieces to, go behind him. But yeah, we were big on Wolves this weekend.
Yes.
They all kind of worked out.
Yeah, I mean,
even Nelson Semedo had a nice week.
Yes, he did. And we don't want to deep dive into the analysis of the players, right? We'll save that for our Friday video when we do our player game picks. But Cunha is the highest scoring forward over the last 3 game weeks. Nori's the highest scoring defender. They both have 30 points. So, Dave, I know last week we talked about you and Phil had a little game. You guys were choosing the best forward left to end the season. Dave believes that's Cunha. Phil believes that's Isak. Dave, has anything changed for you knowing that this really easy run they've had is kind of over? Or are you still like, I'm all in on Cunha to end this season? I still think he's the best forward asset you're going to get.
Yeah, I don't obviously can't go wrong with either and get them both. But yeah, I'm still sticking to my guns.
Yeah.
I know they play City next week. I don't know, City aren't, impenetrable by any means. But after that, Brighton, who's not a great defensive team, Palace, that matchup doesn't scare you, and Brentford to finish the season. So I don't. Nothing has changed for me.
Anything changed for you, Phil? You decided at the end, Isak, you'd rather have him over Cunha. After this game, are you on the Cunha train? Are you still sticking with Isak as best forward to end the season?
I would probably go with Isak for one more week and then switch to Cunha. I think Cunha has more upside for the last 4 games.
Yeah. Stick with Isak for the Brighton game.
Yeah.
And then they play Chelsea Arsenal.
Yeah.
That's a fair strategy if you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. Next game. This will be the last game we go over.
We love games.
Mainly because, again, we mentioned it. There wasn't any good. I mean, there was good games. I'm not saying that, but FPL purposes, nothing was out of the ordinary this week. Things kind of went the way you expected them to go. One of the reasons we have so many points, we kind of figured what was going to play out this week. But Newcastle, Ipswich, we want to talk about that again because we did pick up 3 Newcastle players. That paid off in dividends for us. 3-0 shutout. We avoided that headache, though. That headache that is the Newcastle midfield. We talked about it. We said, we're going with a goalie. We're going with a defender. We're taking Isak. We don't want a piece of the confusion that the midfield brings up with Harvey Barnes, with Anthony Gordon, and with, I'm blanking on
Jacob
the name,
Murphy.
Jacob Murphy. Thank you. And yeah, none of them had, I don't believe any of them had any
Murphy
returns.
had an assist.
Murphy had an assist, but a lot of people, I think the majority of people were picking up on Harvey this weekend. So that's unfortunate.
I mean, yeah.
It worked. I mean, what we did worked. I think like obviously now it looks good, but I think if you played Barnes or Murphy, that wasn't a bad decision. It just didn't quite work out. I mean, it worked out fine for Murphy.
The question becomes next week, what are you going to do?
It's the same question.
Again, nothing's changed.
Just so Barnes and Murphy started, and then I believe Gordon came on for Murphy for like the last 23 minutes or something.
Yep.
So, that part wasn't hard to predict, but like, are they gonna?
Well, to me, that was hard to predict because Gordon had been coming on for Barnes previously. Now he came on for Murphy.
He did.
So that just throws another wrench in it. You don't even know, is he just gonna switch it up? So I think I'll speak for all of us. We're still not super interested in the Newcastle midfield. Because again, they're going to get points. Of course they are. They're a great midfield. I just don't know who it's going to be. And I don't want to deal with it. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I think there's enough good midfield options that having one of them isn't a necessity.
No.
And I would say if you have one right now, which you probably do, it's not a bad thing just to hold on to them, avoid any
it's not worth a free transfer.
Yeah. If you're using a chip, then it's a different strategy, but hold on to whatever midfield one more week. Don't waste the transfer on them. And then the last 3 weeks, I wouldn't really play any. Unless one guy stands out as like, oh, you're the starter going forward. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would completely agree with that. I think it's definitely,
Thanks, Chris.
again, they are definitely good enough players, all three of them. The team itself is on fire. Don't waste a free transfer. Put them on the bench if you really want to. But we have no real opinions because we really can't tell you which one of them is going to be the one that produces. So
Yeah, but if you do have to roll with one, they do have a good matchup, like we said. Brighton's a good matchup right now.
All right, well, who would you roll with then? I mean, if we're going to put it out there, we got to give the people our pick because we had a pick last week. I think we agreed on Jacob Murphy, if I remember correctly.
I said Barnes.
Barnes, I said Murphy.
We said Murphy, he said Barnes. So, I mean, let's go into it again. I think are we all agreed it's probably still not Gordon. He's still not playing. He's still
Probably
not starting.
Flip a coin and whatever
Flip a
lands
coin.
on it.
Flip a coin or whatever it lands on.
Yeah.
Jacob Murphy's been the better player all season. Harvey Barnes is the more recent informed player, but Murphy just got an assist, so I think he's probably the most talented right now of the three. That's who I would take. Harvey Barnes is a little more of a shot in the dark for me. I just don't know. Don't know who he is, what he's gonna do.
I mean,
Who is he?
Who is Harvey Barnes?
Harvey Barnes.
Harvey Barnes had 0 minutes 5 weeks ago, so I don't know. But let's move on to a guy that we do want to talk about.
Whom?
Dave.
Dave?
Do you want to talk about him?
I mean, we can talk about me
We
if
can
you
talk
want.
about him.
I am my guy, just so you know.
You're my guy too, Dave.
Thank you.
Nice. I feel left out. Chat.
That's okay.
Viewers.
Chat.
I know who you're talking
We live
about.
streaming now.
Yeah.
Is it Jared Bowen?
Gerard Bowen. Yes, that's not how you say it. I know. I'm just trying to have fun.
Well,
Here.
his name's Jared and not Gerard, but we'll let that go.
That was a lot of fun.
That was
I had a blast.
If you started Gerard Bowen, you didn't get any points. Sorry about that.
okay, Dave. Tell us about Jared Bowen because you did call him out last week as a player to pick up. I think other people probably had that similar thought. So
Yeah, I feel like I talk about him every single week. And spoiler alert, I'm gonna do it again on the next episode.
do it.
But yeah, 2 assists against Brighton. As we've mentioned, they're not a good defensive team. Yeah, he's been in good form recently. Multiple goals, multiple assists over the last 10 weeks, and they get another good matchup against Tottenham, who I think if it was last episode or the one before, like, unless they're playing like Leicester, Southampton, or Ipswich, they are the worst defensive team in the league.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like Jared Bowen, and I'm going to continue to do so with this Tottenham matchup. Then they get United after that, so still like him for that game week.
That's what I was going to say. I would say bearing an injury, he should probably be a set and forget player the rest of the season. You have Spurs, then you have United, who's in the middle of the Europa League. They don't care about the EPL anymore. Forest, tough matchup, but they are at home. And then Ipswich, so him and, like, we'll talk about in Bumo too, like, that should potentially be a stable midfield there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we pound the table for it. What feels like every other week at this point. Mid forwards are just some of the best players you can pick up in FPL. Having a midfielder that plays the forward position for their team, midfielder in the game, forward for their team, it's unmatched because in a lot of cases too you get a cheaper, not only are they cheaper because they're midfielders, but you get the option of a guy you're going up and scoring goals, getting more assists. It just makes sense. Some things make sense.
They do.
Make sense. All right.
Just like pineapple not belonging on pizza.
Agreed.
I'm gonna have to disagree on that.
Sean, just
Okay, I'm not saying I prefer pineapple.
You
on
and
pizza.
Gerard Bowen can go
Yeah,
eat
you and
pineapple
Gerard-
pizza. Have a blast. Have a blast doing that.
You don't
your
have-
weird fruit on pizza.
You don't have to prefer it, but it's not crazy.
Listen, I'm Italian, so I'm the resident expert
Hey.
on this topic.
Let us know in the comments.
For all the Hawaiians out there that watch us, just listen. They don't mean it. They're just being rude and
Wait,
inconsiderate.
Not being rude.
Does it actually come from Hawaii, or is it just called Hawaiian pizza and people are...
Do I look like a textbook?
I believe it's.
Do
I
I
believe
look
it's.
like I know the history?
I believe
of
it's the
Hawaiian
general
pizza?
style
Where do pineapples come from?
Probably Jamaica, right?
from
A lot
lots of
Give
places.
them a lot of places, but one of them is Hawaii.
Yeah.
But no, Sean, that's a bad take. Pineapple
Bad
has no
take.
place on pizza.
Bad take.
Just like fruit has no place in
Look
dessert.
at this face. He's got something on the Google machine.
His name was Sam Panopoulos, a Greek immigrant who moved to Canada in 1954. He created the first Hawaiian pizza at his restaurant, Satellite, located in Chatham, Canada.
Chatham.
Or Chatham.
Your entire take's ruined because you said Chatham.
Chatham. Well, it's like Gotham. Chatham. Why would that be Chatham and not Batman City Gotham? Anyway, it doesn't come from Hawaii, so you pointed at our Hawaiian viewers, and that was completely off.
Who would have guessed Canada invented pineapple on pizza?
I don't.
We derailed big time.
I gotta move on.
Anyway.
I got nothing else to say. All right, on to the last player we're going to talk about. Unfortunately, because it was my mistake this week. It doesn't feel terrible because he had a good game up until the red card. That's Evanilson. So he got a straight red. He's now out for 3 games. So I would say probably done for the season. I mean, they'll have 1 game left, but you're not gonna put him in the last game of the season after sitting for 3. So he's probably out for the season. But that then opens the question: who is going to replace him? Because he was out for a majority of the season, and in that time period, Dango Utra was one of the guys who came in. But outside of that, the midfield just kind of felt stronger from an FPL perspective. Like, you felt better playing their midfielders. Once he came back, of course, he's a I feel like he's considered a true 9, would you say? Kind of sits up in the front, receives the ball. I don't know.
Evanilson?
Evanilson.
Yeah. For sure.
Point being is it completely changes the way they work the ball, they work the offense. So, who do we think? Any options? If you had to pick like 2 guys you're happy to put in from Bournemouth to end the season, are you gonna say none?
Do you know who I'm gonna say, Phil? That's gonna make Sean really happy.
It's not gonna make me mad because he's not that bad.
Mr. Semenyo.
Antoine Semenyo.
Yeah, how many points do you get for missed shots?
You get 9 when he scores a goal and gets bonus points.
Oh, it factors into the BPS, Sean.
Fair enough.
But they do have a pretty bad schedule with Arsenal, Villa, City. So I'm not.
I'm out on everyone.
I'm not super interested in any of them. If you still have Semenyo or Kluivert, I think I prefer the guy we just talked about over them both. I definitely prefer somebody like Morgan Rogers. I would take Luis Diaz over both of them. I'm not crazy about any of the Bournemouth options with that schedule.
Yeah,
and they're playing like crap.
Kluivert is owned 12% still, which is a lot, I would say, for most players. Semenyo is about 7.3%, so a little less. So, I think if I have to choose between one of those 2 to play, which I probably wouldn't choose either, I would agree with you guys. Probably Semenyo because it's just a differential in that way. That's probably who I would go with.
Take your man. I'd take your man Iwobi over them. I'd take Leandro Trossard.
Is there any interest in Utra though? Does anyone have any interest in him, knowing that he's going to come back into the lineup? He didn't
theoretically, but
okay.
I don't know.
But if you're gonna pick a Bournemouth midfielder,
he's not the one I would pick.
Yeah, I would go more maybe Kluivert. Because he's probably going to be on set pieces and PK, so if you get lucky, you might get points.
But wasn't Utra playing in a more forward position?
He did. He was playing up front when Evanilson was out.
I guess the point is,
that's what I said.
You're getting a midfielder, but you're getting a midfielder forward.
Yeah, that's what I said. In theory, it makes sense, but
it's something. I guess the point is, it's something to think about. If you don't want either of those guys, which we really don't, Utra is probably going to become the main forward on the team to end the season. If you're interested and you want to be different, that would be the time to do it. But I think Bournemouth just in general probably not a good team to look to pick assets for the rest of the season. So I mean, that was a short episode, but again, not a lot to recap this week. It was pretty straightforward. 4 teams blanked for the better teams, or 3 of those 4 better teams, I should say. And they have a lot of players we would normally talk about, but not today. So we'll get out of here
quick and easy.
Yeah.
I think the summary of this episode is if you don't know who to play, you're trying to pick a winning team for FPL, check out a channel called Fireside.
Well, they're already checking it out, so they already know.
Recheck the channel called Fireside every week, twice a week, on Twitter and Instagram too, because we put out great suggestions.
On that point, look out for our team. We're going to put it out most likely Thursday, I would say, right after that game.
Yeah.
We'll put our final team out. That'll be out on Instagram and our X account. We'll put out our results. So look for that. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment on the video because we really appreciate it, and it's free and it helps us. We just broke 50 subscribers. That might not mean a lot to anyone out there. That means a lot to us. So we are excited. Everyone who subscribed, thank you so much.
We love you.
We love you.
So much.
But we're out of here. Find us on X. Find us on Instagram. Find us on YouTube. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. And with that, see ya.
See ya. Bye.